What's up? We're back again with another Bodacious Babe episode. This time we got Devon Battle of DCWB. Super excited to dive into how he finds bodaciousness, what he's doing in his network and support system, and just how he uses his skill sets to be more bodacious in his life. And again, bodaciousness is anything that you want it to be. It's really just about positivity, growth, strength, confidence, all of the above. Whatever you are desiring to be, do it bodaciously. So, Dev, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe what bodacious means to you, and we'll go from there.
Most definitely. I want to say thank you so much for having me on the show, Megs. Like, it really means the world. You've been a day one supporter, and you've just shown a lot of potential as far as how bodacious you are, right? In trying to go after just your own personal career and finding your path. But for those who don't know me, my name is Devon Battle. Yes, Battle is my actual last name. And just a little bit about myself. I'm a 26, about to be 27-year-old dude, a regular dude just like everyone else out there. But with that being said, I've had these experiences that have ultimately led me to wanting to be a business owner, right? Wanting to really work for myself, wanting to really find a way to employ my family instead of my family being employed by someone else, right? So just growing up, my father unfortunately passed away in the military, but my initials, him and my mother came together and they named me Devon Christopher Winslow Battle. So the initials in DCWB is also the initials of my actual name. So ultimately growing up, they just told me, DCWB, it sounds like a business name. It sounds like it would actually be a corporation. So that led me, ultimately growing up, hearing that all the time, right? Led me to really believe, I can do this. This is something I want to tackle and take on myself to actually, build the buzzword. I don't really like using it, but, building generational wealth. So ultimately, I've had a lot of experience in just picking things up and putting them down from photography. I ran a photography company for a cool little minute. I ran a moving business for a little while right before COVID had came. From there, I've just studied business administration, went to Wiley College. So if you've seen the Great Debaters, right, with Denzel Washington, the old Disney movie, that was actually the college I went to. So I've had somewhat of a leopard past, right? Some good, some bad, but ultimately it's all come together to really build this positive, foundation for where I'm trying to be long term. So that's a little bit about who I am and how I've got where I'm at today.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing all that. I definitely feel your vibe on the business administration side, the business school. Like, I majored in business administration as well. And I know we are both on the same page when it comes to networking. When it comes to making those connections, you always hear that quote, it's not what you do, it's who you know. and sadly, that is a huge strategy when it comes to business. However, there's a lot that goes into it when it comes to personality as well. What do you think is what I like to call bodacious networking, I guess? And I'm just what I'm trying to get at though is like being bold, like networking that sets you apart from traditional, like going to events and talking to people, or just like what can set you apart when it comes to networking, if you want to vibe on that.
Most definitely. I'd say a major aspect that would help with anybody, no matter what business niche you're in, is actually having a deliverable. Having something that when you're out at these networking events, when you're sitting here talking in Twitter spaces or on these live podcasts, having something that you can actually hand to somebody or present to somebody to show that you're not just talk, and it actually, gives a physical representation to the idea that you have. So that's one aspect that I believe a lot of people kind of overlook they're so excited about being able to network and tell people about their idea. And I'm guilty of this myself, right? So excited about this new innovative idea that I have, that we haven't actually built it out fully to where it operates soundly, to where we actually have the physical product in front of us. So I'd say getting to that point of development where it's not just you sitting here talking about the idea, but you have proof in the pudding, is definitely a way to be bodacious when you're networking, right?
Makes
So
sense.
it's just that aspect of have something that's already proof of concept, right? Have a deliverable, have something you can hand to them, have something you can show them. And ultimately, that'll put you in a separate category as opposed to all the other people that come up to them trying to network, trying to get resources, tools, information. You at least have something of value that you can already provide them off rip. Now that just comes into play as to like, who are you networking with, right? Now it's not so much about you need to get out there, you need to get the word out. Now you're more so focused on, okay, who are the specific individuals I want to connect with to make sure that, I'm not talking to somebody that's a waste of time, because it's not realistic for you, if you're a clothing brand, right, to sit here and be networking with somebody that's back in software. So
True.
right, it's just understanding exactly who you want to network with and understanding exactly what your deliverable is, like what are you trying to get at. And that's how you can really improve your networking, instead of it just being you out there trying to talk to, Joe Schmo that just so happened to be at the same event. You can really target in on, all right, this is the individual that I want to talk to because I know they have this network or this ecosystem that coincides with the deliverable that I already have, right? So now you're not just asking them, you actually can show them, hey, I'm in the same niche as you, I'm in the same field as you. Here's
Yeah.
the deliverable I have, showing that I put in work, the time, the effort, right? And now it's just a matter of them saying, all right, yeah, I see that being something I can be a part of, or no, I don't think I can be a part of it, but I may know somebody that can be. So it's really just that avenue of having that deliverable and being prepared yourself before trying to talk to other people and everyone else around you about it. And I'm saying this like as I'm learning these things myself
Yeah.
too, right? Because I'm growing with DCWB at the same time. So it's a matter of, I have a lot of things that I want to do and want to build out, but it's that aspect where now I'm like, okay, I have these broad ideas, but this is the one level I'm gonna focus on right now with the clothing and production. That's why I use the example, right? With the clothing and production that I know I can execute and deliver on at a high level. So just really knowing yourself and what your goals are is going to ultimately lead into being a much better networker and having a deliverable to the people that you want to speak with.
Yeah, those are some really great points. And I know, like, as a leader, it's not always an immediate reaction to share your strengths. It's more of a hidden, like, secret for a lot of people. So I really admire you just being able to share your failures so that we can all be successful together. That's really awesome. So we did go into like how to be bold and what makes bodacious networking, but sometimes it can come off a little maybe aggressive or intrusive, and it's like, dude, I get you're super encouraged right now and you're inspired, but like, how can we kind of differentiate between that balance of being bold and being ourselves still?
No, most definitely. And that's a really great question, right? So I'd say personally for myself, what I like to do when it comes to even Twitter spaces, going into random spaces where you don't know anybody, it's that aspect of being able to listen, right? Like you'll be a much better speaker when you can go ahead and shut your own mouth and listen to the pain points, the topics that they already are interested in. As you go ahead and do that, ultimately what you'll see is you have these points of interest that line up with your own interest or your own model, right? So instead of it being that aspect of you walking directly in trying to pitch your idea, you can walk in and touch on a pain point that they've had that you've also experienced,
Yeah.
or you can touch on a networking experience or an event or a video that coincides with the topic that they were just speaking on. So being able to have more information outside of just what you're building yourself is actually going to put you in a much better position to network with people. Like actually, this is something I learned from my grandmother. She works in the jewelry industry, worked in this industry for over 40 plus years. Grand jewelers, shout out to them. But with, yeah, with them, essentially what she really does, she has no interest in sports really. But I catch my grandma random days. She doesn't like baseball, but she'll sit there and watch baseball games just so that she can have that conversational dynamic with individuals that walk into the jewelry store. So it's really that aspect of building rapport more so than pitching your idea, right? Because people, a lot of the times, you have to realize that it's not your networking and they're going to invest in your product or in your idea. A lot of the times, these individuals that are higher net worth, higher, ecosystems, big business, right? They're more so looking at the person rather than the business model, right? So if you already have a solid business model, but you can also back that up with being a solid person that has rapport with them on a personal level, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to step in there. So don't always make it about what you're building, what you're doing, what you're trying to go ahead and push out. Really listen to what they're speaking on, listen to what they're trying to build, listen to what they're interested in, and speak on that first. And then ultimately, what will happen is you'll find a point to go ahead and bring up your business or whatever it is that you want to pitch because the conversation flowed and happened naturally. Because I know we've all been in the Twitter spaces or X or on Instagram lives or whatever it may be, or even in a Discord or Telegram where somebody talks about what they're building randomly and it's like, all right, bro, like nobody really cares. So it's just that dynamic of feel the vibe out, listen to what they care about, and talk about that before ever speaking about your own business or your own brand.
Yeah, that's very good advice. How, so we talked about like how to present yourself, what it is naturally, but how do we nurture these connections and turn them into like support system, And is that for you, do you think, because for me, it's been like we discussed a little bit a second ago, like failing process, like you're constantly meeting people and then maybe not vibing, then you have to meet more people, then vibe, like how do you nurture these connections so that you are creating a solid environment around you?
Most definitely. I'd say coming from this, I can come from this at two different perspectives, right? The perspective as a business owner, somebody that wants to be a CEO, entrepreneur, like aspiring like myself. And then there's a perspective of somebody that wants to just do better in their life and personal growth and development, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to being a CEO, being a business owner, you saying you want to operate a business, right, and hire people, a major aspect in this is going to be trial and error because with being a CEO, the main role with you, right, as being that owner is being able to figure out what people's strengths and weaknesses are. So as you continue to meet these people, as you continue to network, you're going to meet a million different personality types. You're going to meet people that are great at one thing and horrible at another, right? And it's just your ability to figure out, okay, how do I interact with you and go ahead and plug you into a position that actually matters to you and assist me, right? So that kind of leads in or goes back to what I said a little bit earlier about listening and paying attention to what they have to say before you ever speak on what you're doing. Because a lot of the times what you realize is people like talking about themselves, right? Like that's why I really harp on, right, and try to talk about like be quiet and try to listen because when you really want to, if you give somebody the stage to talk about what they're doing or talk about what's being built or just their ideals, they'll spill everything. Just be quiet and listen. Just nod your head and look at how much information you get out of them. So it's that aspect of, okay, let me listen to what skill sets you have, what things interest you, and let me go ahead and see how you work, right? And as you develop that relationship, as you see them developing out their own ideas and the things that they're struggling with in their own ventures, you'll ultimately see, okay, I know people or have skill sets that can help with marketing and advertising. And they might be great with, interpersonal communications, where they're more of somebody that after you get the lead, they can get on the phone and close for you, right? So being able to differentiate and a little bit of a tongue twister there, just being able to differentiate between, all right, I know I have these skill sets and these are things that I know I'm great at. Let me go ahead and be quiet and listen to what the people around me have to say, have to do, what they're good at, see what they're actually executing on and the things that they execute good on. Then from there, as we've developed this rapport, developed this relationship, they've seen me execute on my work, I've seen them execute. There you can go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and I'll help you with this, and you can plug yourself into my business in this or fashion or way, right? And it's just being able to really, like I keep saying, listen to what they're dealing with, what they're doing, and what experiences they have. So I can give like a really great example, right?
Yeah, please do.
One example is Sid from over at NFA, non-fungible art and the crypto homies, right? He's absolutely amazing with toy production. This isn't, secret information or anything like that, right? He created the Dr. Bombay toy for Snoop Dogg. He was doing production for the homies back in the day, the little toy you would get when you put a quarter in, you twist a little knob, you would get a little homie toy, right? And those figures, he was responsible for producing these, right? So I've been just blessed enough to have somewhat of a relationship with Sid through Twitter Spaces. And over the year, shoot, it has been a few years now, but over the years, what's happened is I've had conversations with him, talk to him. He's seen me grow and fail. I've seen him continue to grow and scale up what he's doing. But I've come to realize, right, through these conversations, all right, Sid, if I want to do toy production, what are the aspects that I need to look at? It's having those conversations, right? Now, through having these conversations, I know, all right, unless I'm looking to do something above like 10,000, 100,000 inventory, he's not the person to go to. So now I understand, okay, if I want to do toy production, I know somebody that I can do high quantities, high numbers with a high net worth individual. He's the individual to go ahead and send them to get the deal done. Now that's a tool, a resource that I have in my bag. It might not be something that I'm interested in doing or producing as of right now, but there's other people in the ecosystem that may want to produce a toy. And me being able to go ahead and be quiet and listen to somebody else and hear them say, oh, yeah, we're looking at producing a toy or having a physical product. I can then say, hey, are you guys familiar with Sid? And that connection that I can potentially create puts me in a much better position for business development, because now it's not just Sid trusting me. Now it's not just that one business trusting me or me having to go through the process of executing and developing and continuous conversation, right? It's just that matter of, oh, no, I know Devon's serious about helping and continuing to help because he sat there and made sure to connect me with somebody that actually wants to do business. So a lot of the time when it comes to like improving your ecosystem, improving your network, it's not even looking at what business you can do for yourself. It's looking at how you can improve business for the people that are a higher level or people that are at a lower level just around you and in your ecosystem. Because the main aspect is just building trust in the beginning. Like that's going to be the biggest hurdle at the very start. Like you're asking people to give you their hard-earned money. Like they're working 40, 80 hours a week away from their wife, kids, away from their husband, away from whoever it is that's significant to them, like, and spending all this time. So that matter of building trust is going to be extremely important. So building trust with them through networking and just saying, hey, you should do business with this person because I know they produce a quality product and I know they actually have the money to pay for it, right? That'll put you in a much better light. And then on the other aspect, I was going to talk on from a personal development aspect, it's that aspect of you really want to find people that are doing the things that you want to do. Right? If you're not somebody that wants to sit here and be the biggest billionaire CEO or whatever it may be, you're just somebody that wants to live a good life. It's really just focusing on, okay, not even what's the mindset of an individual that is in the place I want to be? What are the things that they're thinking? What are the things that they do for hobbies? What are the things that they indulge in for entertainment? Right. And as you continue to do that, you want to start finding and thinking, where are these people at? And going to network with them there. Right. A lot of the time, just finding common interest in a great example is golf. Right. A lot of people pick up golf just for the fact of the matter that there's a lot of business deals that happen on the golf course. Right. So really figuring out who, what, and when, right? Who the people are that you want to connect with, what they do, and when they're going to be at certain places is going to be key in your personal development, in like not even your career, just making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that can elevate you. Because what will happen is, as you find yourself indulging in these hobbies, going to these places, you're going to weed out a lot of the negative that was in your life that you didn't even realize was hindering you,
Yeah.
because now you're around people that are taking the time to actually care about their finances, actually do their taxes, right? Actually go ahead and pay attention to standard operating procedures and writing business plans. They actually understand dividends and securities and IPOs, right? They understand these types of aspects. So it's a lot easier for you to just soak up that information, instead of you hoping and praying that this course that you paid $45 for, $100 for, $1,000 for is going to actually give you value.
Yeah.
Like really start finding out who, what, where, when, why, like what are these people that are at a higher level than me? What are they doing? Like, how can I get around them? And start indulging in some of these things. Like, main thing that you hear is a lot of billionaires and millionaires, they don't really watch TV like that. All right. So what are they doing then? Right. And just asking yourself that question will lead you to getting to the right places. So a lot of the time it's just shifting your mindset so that you can even be in the right room, find the right people, and get in the right ecosystem. But yet again, like all of that still ties into what I said previously, again, with listening, right? Being quiet, being able to pay attention to what other people are doing and finding ways to solve problems for them before even thinking about how you can get a win. When you do that, people will give you wins just off the strength of your character.
Yes, amen. Dude, you're like answering all my questions without me even asking them. But just off of like what you're saying, I kind of got the idea that there are sometimes skills that are not business related that you need to implement into your life in order to be that individual that is able to lead or is able to reach those goals. I'd love to hear maybe some tips or what you do for your own self to stay motivated, to stay encouraged, to keep pushing, towards whatever goal it is, whether that's your clothing company, whether that's just waking up in the morning. Sometimes it's just really hard for people to accept or keep failing to get to that success. What are some things that you do to try and stay motivated?
I'd say like for me personally, a lot of it was like just rooted in me because of how, like I said, my grandparent,
Because
or
of your
not my
support
grandparents.
system.
Yeah, well, so with my mother, having such a solid mindset in DCWB, you being a business owner, like that's when I tell you that's all I heard growing up. And then that aspect of my father passed away, and that's what that's what they blessed me with this name. It really like set something in me, is like, no, I'm not doing anything else. So I will say, like, I'm 10 times more stubborn than a lot of people, where I'll sit here and just say I'm not doing anything else but what I want to do. And that's at my own detriment a lot of the time. But what I'd say, like, when I have those moments when I'm like, damn, do I even want to be in blockchain? Like, do I want to be a business owner in another realm, not the blockchain aspect? What I really sit there and do is I think about like why. Like, why do you even want to do this? Right. And like a lot of the time, people have really weak whys. So when your why is weak, your determination, your willpower to actually continue proceeding, it's pretty weak too. My why is just such a strong why that when I take the time to sit back, relax, and think on it, it's like, no, there is no other option. I'm going to figure this out. In addition to that, another thing that I do to really try to make sure I stay motivated in these aspects, not just the aspect of me, just going through the motions. I really, really, really try to, instead of ask myself or say or think to myself, I can't, or I can't afford, or this is too hard. Like the only thing I think is, how can I? Like, even with finances, I don't think I don't have the money for it. I think, how can I afford? So, if that question in your mind, personally, for me, has led me to, all right, I can look at or find different paths to get to the same goal. It's not just being so way that you're going to get there, pivoting and realizing, okay, there's another way that I can do this. I just have to open my mind to find the how that I can get around this hurdle that I'm facing. So like, it's just that aspect of, there's always a way around the situation that you're facing. And then for other people, I don't, push God on anybody, but I personally believe in God. I have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Like, I believe he died for our sins, all that good stuff. So it's not a matter of if I'm able to do it. It's, I know God, I know Jesus, I know that these things that they put on my plate isn't something that I can't handle. And if anything, at the same time, like the purpose, the why, and why you're going through this, why you're sitting here dealing with this situation, is because he's trying to make you a better person. So for myself, going through business hardships, dealing with situations that really make me want to quit or not even be in blockchain, or not be a business owner, just get a 9 to 5 so I could have a steady paycheck. Like, people think being a business owner is just cake and the easy walk. Like, no, I ran my own business, like worked for myself for the past 4 to 5 years now. And it's that aspect of, I've never been more stressed out. I was less stressed day to day when I had a job and I could just go to work, clock out, spend my little money, and have my check. Now that it's the aspect of I'm working for myself, like, it's a lot more stressful, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point. Like, it's that aspect of really being able to think about my why, having my faith, and really realizing all these things that I'm going through are ultimately progressing to make me better, so that if I do get to a point of making $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, whatever it may be, whatever he has planned for me, right, I'll actually be able to handle that. Because a lot of the time, what people have to realize is, you don't have a lot of things, because if you did get those things, it would ruin you.
Mm-hmm.
You would put yourself in a very, very detrimental situation. Because let's be real, if you had $1 million to spend, you'd mess around and spend it on some things you don't need, be around some people you probably don't need to be around, right? And like, these are just the things that I think about personally, where it's like, all right, Devin, yeah, you probably don't need $1 million right now. You're still going through your perfection stage. You're still being perfected like a diamond. You're still getting pressed on. You're still getting heated up, and you still got to be cut. And those aren't, easy processes. When it's hot, it's very, very high temperatures to go ahead and create that diamond. For that pressure, you're getting pushed on with thousands of pounds of pressure to go ahead and create that diamond. When you're getting cut doesn't feel good. So going through these processes of being able to actually be that gem, like, realize, like, these are the things that I think about when I say, all right, you're not where you want to be, you're not making money, you're not at the level, you don't know these things, right? That's what I think. I think even diamonds have to go through, coal has to go through all of these for becoming a diamond. Any has to have the experience with it, or else you're in a position where you have all these people looking at you, suing you, trying to go after your livelihood because you mishandled their funds. So a lot of the time it's being humble and realizing maybe you're just not ready for it. And then you need to be perfected to get to that level and just increase your knowledge. So just being patient and remembering that you have to be patient. Like patience is part of the game.
Right.
You can't get around that aspect. Like that's really what I go back to thinking on. So like, I'm sorry I can't give like do this, watch this video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
Like, but it
I
to me, I don't think it'll ever be.
no, I love everything you're saying. For me, faith is super important. Just yesterday and by the way, we're a little under 5 minutes left of the interview. So I just want to wrap it up. But it's been great talking to you. But I do want to say that just the other day I was doubting what God's purpose was for me. I was like, how can I be like thinking that this thing is like doing this and I need to do this in order for this thing to make it happen. But like when I think back at my life, I definitely can see how there were so many times where it wasn't me. It was all God. It had to be because I didn't make it happen. It just did. And so I do want to kind
Exactly.
of like play a little game with you. It's like my little thing with all the interviews, right? So
Okay.
I want to throw out scenarios and you say whether or not it's bodacious. And I think the idea is that we, like you said, mindset, we need to keep our mind straight on the prize. And the
Exactly.
prize can be different things that you are embodying so that you can reach the shelf to put the prize on, or like
Right.
so let's
The
say
climb. Getting
yes,
to
the
the top.
ladder and success, of course. Yeah. So let's say we have a partnership, and you started the company, it's under your name, but you need help, you know. Um, would you say it's bodacious for someone to step back and listen to other people's ideas, even though you're the owner, you're the person who is in charge? Would you say it's bodacious for someone else to be able to lead at a certain point in order to help you become successful as well?
Oh, I say it's super bodacious. Like that's one of the most bodacious things you could do, because what a lot of people fail to realize is the whole part of being a business owner is the ability to take off hats and not put on more hats.
Amen.
So like
Yeah.
as being a business owner, you're going to have to realize that you have to find somebody that's better at social media marketing, somebody that's better at content creation, at writing, at PR, right?
Yeah.
So it being able to step back and say, hey, I need to learn is one of the most bodacious things you can do, because
Okay.
it's not until you sit there and say, hey, I know everything, that I can guarantee that you're gonna fail. Anybody that has a continuous will to say, hey, I want to learn, I can sit there and say, okay, there's potential in you actually succeeding. But for those individuals that are so high on their pedestal that they don't stop to listen to other individuals and their expertise, because you don't know everything, you can 9 times out of 10 guarantee that they're not going to have a successful venture, just because they're reliant on themselves and not reliant on the people that are potentially better than them.
Right. Okay. Okay. So last one, yes or no, because we have only a couple seconds before it stops recording. uh,
Okay.
Going to school or not going to school, you can still be a leader and a CEO of a company.
100%. Yes, it's a matter of mindset and drive. If you're somebody that has the correct character for it, right? You operate authentically and you have the mindset for it. You can identify opportunities. I don't really think it's a matter of whether you have the schooling. A lot of information doesn't necessarily come directly from the schools. It's coming from these professors that are actual real world business experienced that are bringing this information to you. So like look at Mr. B.